the Ninth Amendment's so cool because a lot of historians, and I mean a lot of historians, say that there was no legal precedent for this ever in human history. The idea of what's in the Ninth Amendment.
What is the Ninth? I don't even remember what the Ninth one is.
Oh, nobody remembers the last two amendments. The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. This really follows John Locke's natural right philosophy, that you have all your rights. There was a concern by anti-federalists that the Constitution could be interpreted that if it didn't give you that right, if the Constitution didn't say that right exists, therefore you don't have that right. Madison was like, that's a good point. Let's have the Ninth Amendment in there. Let's make sure that we're gonna explicitly say that just because the Constitution doesn't talk about this right, that doesn't mean you don't have it. In fact, they went to the extreme in the other direction. They were like, you have every right that exists, but for what's traded off in this Constitution. I think that's awesome.
I love that, yeah.
And there's no precedent for it. Like, we talked about the Magna Carta, we talked about the English Bill of Rights, 1689, we talked about the Declaration of Rights in Virginia, we talked about the Massachusetts Constitution, we talked about all these other examples. But the Ninth Amendment stands on its own as this incredibly unique piece of legislation that guaranteed rights, not because the Constitution says you have those rights. It goes beyond that. You naturally, as a human being, have those rights, and just because the Constitution doesn't give or take them from you doesn't mean you don't have them.
Yeah,
really
I
cool.
do like that, man. That's pretty neat. Okay, so you're saying this was the first of its case. Has this ever been repeated? Have you seen this wording show up in anyone else's constitutions?
The long answer is it's complicated, but the real answer is you do see a wave of constitutions adopted after this that are just very heavily modeled on the U.S. Constitution. And so you see this natural absorption of these types of principles of natural law. And it is kind of cool if you think about it, like all the books John Locke wrote, Two Treatises on Government, all that stuff. What really actually embedded his ideas of natural rights was really the U.S. Constitution just being the oldest one around that people keep copying and pasting. And you inadvertently spread this very classically liberal view that of rights. And that's kind of cool. It's not all the books I wrote. It's a bunch of dudes in Philadelphia, New York, and Massachusetts that got together and made this document.
When did John Locke pass?
Late
1704. Okay. I was just wondering how close he was to seeing his ideas get birthed like that.
Yes, and to close out the Ninth Amendment, I'm going to quote from the Constitution Center on how they say the founding fathers viewed this. They said that the Ninth Amendment was specifically included to prevent any perverse interpretation that might one day claim that because a right isn't enumerated, the people don't have it.